Hi there, everyone. I saw that you were having some difficulty with our start of challenge, or with Unit 2, rather, with the French Revolution. No worries. All of you did a wonderful job in Unit 1D when we finished that. And so I think all of the information that you used in 1D hopefully will help you with 2A. So the challenge you definitely will be able to conquer. So I decided to create a quick little video to help you to revisit and look at our learning targets. Now, I know a lot of you looked at Unit 2 as trying to connect all the different events that we had about the French Revolution, and hopefully trying to look at those events and see how they helped to promote or suppress political democracy. We also are going to be looking at those big picture ideas about what nationalism is and how nationalism during the French Revolution really was at a peak and height. And social class equity was one of the factors for the French Revolution. The area or the target that you are having difficulty with based on your quiz the other day was identifying the three estates. So we're going to take a really close look at those three estates. I'm going to go over some information and give you some resources to prep you for this week's target learning, which that is what we're going to be doing this week with our discussions. So let's take a closer look at that. If you remember in Unit 1D, when we finished, we started, people started questioning during the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment the power that they may have, the ability and the hope to not be so dictated by the church. If you remember that is really one of the happenings that occurred during the scientific revolutions. People questioned the Catholic Church. And here you see that the people's mindset really was changed, that they actually had hope, that they could control their own destiny. Today we're going to look at 5 things, really quick activities that are going to help you hopefully go over or conquer the challenge of understanding the difference between the three estates. And I think at the end, the analogy with Chick-fil-A, I know that's a secret word, but when you think about that, I think this is hopefully going to help you. And we'll spend some time on that. So in Buzz, there are 3 activities that I am going to target. It's 2.1, 2.6, and 2.4. Those activities we will revisit this week as we're going to go over it. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that this is the information and these are the activities if you're continuing to struggle with that. There were 3 estates or 3 social classes during this time period. Okay, and the first estate was called the Roman Catholic clergy, and they made up about 1% of the whole entire population. So if you had 100 people, only one of them was a member of the clergy, but they controlled 15% of the land. The second estate was the nobility, and they only made up 2%. So there were 2 people out of the 100 that were the nobility, and they controlled most of the land and owned the property. 25% of the land they owned. Okay. And then you have the third estate, which is the majority of all the other people. So 97 people in that whole group were of the third estate, or the bourgeoisie. And they were the middle class. They were the craftsmen, they were the peasants, they were the lawyers, they were the merchants, but they paid 100% of all the taxes for the other 3% who paid nothing, who probably had a lot more money. So based on just that little bit of information, which one would you have liked to have lived in as during that time period? Would you want to have been in the first estate, the second, or the third estate? This week's discussion or debate is going to be, we're going to be talking about that and what you think it might be like to have lived back then during this time. And we are going to do a little reenactment. So that gives you a heads up. So be thinking about that for class this week. In order to help you understand what the feelings were back then between these different classes, we're going to look at two documents, and I'm not going to talk a lot about the documents because I want to use that for this week for our discussion, our springboard. But if you look at document A and document B, there are some similarities between the two. But I want you to look at those and take a look at them and make three observations. They can be of A, two on A, one on B, or all of B. You're going to use your three observations. It doesn't matter. But what does matter is where you're going to place them on the Jamboard. So to remember, hopefully you remembered how to use the Jamboard, but if you didn't, it's okay. You're going to go over here to a Post-it note on the Jamboard. You're going to click it on, and you're going to write your observations on the Jamboard. And you're going to make sure to put your name on it so I know who's done it. And you're going to save it. And we are going to be using this as a classroom springboard when we all work in our teams this week. So you want to make sure to have this done. And again, it's just the observations of what you see in the political cartoons here. Okay. Next, when you are done doing that, I want you to take 5 minutes out of your day, and I would really like you to watch this video that talks about the three estates and how they sparked the French Revolution. This video link right here will take you to the video, so you just simply click that on. And it's a 5-minute video that really does a great job of explaining and will help you with 2.4 and 2.6, okay? Which is an activity that you're going to have to do. But please take the time to read it, or watch it rather, because we're going to go over it in class. And lastly is the analogy that I was talking to you about. And I want you to be thinking about this. And this is your ticket out the door that you need to complete before we have class, before we have our meet this week. So here's the situation. How might you feel if only 2 people from our entire class, let's say there's 100 of us, that only 2 people out of that 100, or possibly 3, control all the wealth and the power of our class? They're the only ones that can go to PE class. They're the only ones that can play games, video games. They're the only ones that are involved in sports or the arts. And they're really the only one that is allowed to have Chick-fil-A at lunch for free every day. The rest of us are the worker bees, and we're doing all the work and paying all the taxes. But we have really little to show for it. We don't own our own land. We have little food or little wealth, but we're the ones that are working and paying all the taxes to keep France alive. Okay? How might that inequity help fuel the fire and trigger a revolution? How do you think people are feeling? How do you think that's going to what do you think that's going to do to the social classes and the people's feelings towards one another? Think about that. You have only 3 people in your whole class that are able to do everything, and you're still doing all your schoolwork, but they get all A's. Okay. Go to the ticket out the door, and please put your name, fill in your response. Okay, make sure you use your complete sentences, which I know all of you are doing a really good job with. And then I also have another area here that says, Mrs. Dillon, I am struggling with. Please take a minute and fill that out and let me know what you are struggling with. I know you can always email me or send me a text, but I just want to leave that there for you if you have any problems. So I hope that this will help. Remember, try to go through it before class because we're going to spend some more time working on that this week. You folks are doing a great job. Keep it up. I'm so proud of you. Okay. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.